Hello, friends, and welcome to Page Join Pick of the Week, number 14. We've made it 14 episodes, and thanks for all of you who listen. Really appreciate it. And this week I have a few comics. I've been having kind of a couple of down weeks, and especially last week was a bit of a down week. But this week I have a couple of ones that stood out, so let's get into it. Now, it being October, it's that spooky time of year. The weather's changing, and you just feel like a good horror story, right? So I did pick up a couple of horror books. The first one was The Devil That Wears My Face. This is by David Riposte and Alex Cormack. This is by Mad Cave. Now, I enjoy exorcism stories, mostly movies, but I think they can be effective in other formats. But I think part of what makes exorcism stories so powerful, for me anyway, is the sounds of the voices, the sounds of the bones cracking, or the weird noises they make when they're possessed. I think a lot of that adds to the horror of these kind of stories. So when I got into this book, I was hopeful. The artwork I did enjoy. I think the artwork's pretty good. But without the visuals and without the audio, it just didn't have as much of an impact for me, and it just didn't work for me. It just didn't build that suspense or didn't build that terror. I think part of it was because it jumps right into it. We jump right into an exorcism pretty quick, and there was no build up. I think it just relies on us knowing what's happening, which is fine. It just didn't have an impact. But I do think the artwork was good. I think, and I'm a fan of religious horror. I think religious horror is something that there's a lot that can be done with it. So there was some of that in this. I enjoy the subgenre. I'm hopeful this one grabs me in a way that will hook me. It does go in a direction I didn't quite expect, although I should have given the title. But I hope it veers towards more of the religious horror and away from the exorcism storyline, because that just wasn't the most effective part of the story for me. It just didn't. I found the other aspects of the story much more interesting. So I will keep my eye out for this one. I won't seek it out, but if I find it, I'll give it another read. Now, the second book I picked up that had some Halloween fall vibes was Tales from the Cave. This is also by Mad Cave. Now, the cover of this book is a big pumpkin. So looking at the cover, I thought, oh, this is a bunch of spooky stories. Not so. I just expected fall vibes. I expected horror. I expected things to go bump in the night, and it was anything but that. And I get why having that cover for this first issue would make sense given the time of year, but I think I had a different expectation going into the book, and it just wasn't at all what I expected. The stories lean heavily towards fantasy, and there's 3 total stories. The first 2 just didn't do much for me. Just didn't hold my attention very much. The third story is called Nottingham, and that one did hold my attention. It has a very cold weather Norse kind of feel to it, and I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. And you throw in a witch and some witchcraft, and I'm on board. Now, I think I may have had a different reaction to this book if the cover would have represented what was inside the book, because I had a different expectation. But I wonder what would have happened if the cover represented what was in the book and not something that it wasn't. So it is what it is. I don't think I'll be picking this one up again, although I did enjoy the third story. I don't know that it's enough to read a third of a book to follow one story out of 3. So unfortunately, this will be a one and done for me. And yeah, kind of bummed out about that one. Now we have the bad news out of the way. We have the bad stuff out of the way. There's 2 books I really enjoyed this week. I always really enjoy when I struggle to find a pick of the week, when I have to figure out what my pick of the week will be. It's nice. I used to dread those weeks, but now I kind of dig it because it's a lot better than not having a pick of the week at all. So this one was tough, but the next book that I really enjoyed, it was The Sacrificers #3. This is by Rick Remender, Max Filumara, and Dave McCraig. This is by Image Comics. Another stellar issue. We're starting to get the sense of the world, a larger sense of the world. We're getting more. It's being filled out a lot more for us. A lot of the other aspects of the world, how it works, and I really like that. And learning how the systems within this world work. The artwork is stellar. It's spectacular. I love the artwork. The writing is great. And at the end of the last issue, issue 2, you can't help but shake the feeling that something's really wrong, and you just know something's not quite right. So I was almost a little nervous reading this story because something's going to happen. And something does happen. I won't spoil it if you haven't read it, but boy, does it deliver. It is really good stuff. And it, like I said, there are some revelations here. There are some things that are revealed. And I like that it's a slow drip, and it keeps us hooked on the book. And from what I understand from the letters in the back, this is an ongoing, so I don't think it's a mini-series. And I wonder where it'll go. I do wonder how you can squeeze an ongoing series out of this. It feels more like a mini-series, but if the issues continue to be this good, I mean, keep it going as long as you want. No complaints from me. This one was impactful. It was heartbreaking. It is so well done in telling the story, and just, yeah, really good stuff. And all around, just spectacular work. And I love the different characters in the story. I love the way they were slowly learning about the systems and the other parts of the story that work and how it all fits together. And we do get more of a feeling of where we're going, maybe, at least a little bit. So yeah, really great stuff. I did get some Hunger Game vibes from this one. And not in the way you might think, but I think if you've read it, maybe you might kind of see where I'm coming from. But yeah, wow, really great stuff. It was really tough to not pick this one, but I couldn't help but pick for this week. My pick of the week is The Ribbon Queen, #3. This is by Garth Ennis and Jason Burrows. This is by AWA. And I've said before, and I'll say it again, I'm a sucker for anything Garth Ennis and or Jason Burrows. I'll read damn near anything Garth Ennis writes, and I'll read anything that Jason Burrows is the artist for. I love his style. I love the artwork. And Garth Ennis, I've been a fan for as long as I can remember, for a really long time. So the first issue had me a little bit worried. It had me a little bit worried that it would get, I mentioned this before on the podcast, but I do worry when we're really heavy-handed with messaging and with trying to get a point across instead of being subtle. And I'm not a fan of that at all, of being really heavy-handed. I'd rather it be subtle, something that makes the reader think, makes the reader question their own viewpoints. And maybe you may not have your mind changed, but at least you have a different viewpoint to have a different experience, to open yourself up to different ideas, and it not be in a combative way. You just say, here's a different perspective, kind of, try and wrap your mind around it and at least understand where this is, where we're coming from with this kind of thing. That's a lot more effective to me than something that's so heavy-handed and saying, this is what we want you to think. And then the first issue had me a little worried because I felt it was leaning the opposite direction. But with every issue, it's been pulling us back to be more of the really subtle. And I'm surprised in this one, it gives some different viewpoints, and internally the characters in the book also give different viewpoints, and they both have their moments of, they both have their points where they're like, oh wow, I didn't think of it that way. So yeah, and it also is very leaning more towards the horror, and no one does horror like Jason Burrows. I mean, it's just, Yeah, but every issue has gotten better. Issue 1 was good. Issue 2 was better. And now issue 3, obviously, was my favorite so far, my favorite of the week. Now, sometimes a conversation within the book between characters can really be very impactful. Just like two characters sitting down and talking, having a conversation with each other, going back and forth. Their dialogue can make or break a book, or make and break a story even. And there's a conversation that takes place that I really, really enjoyed. There's actually a couple of them that we see different viewpoints from each character, and I think it was done very well. And like I've mentioned before too, I'm a fan of crooked cop stories, or even semi-crooked cops, like cops that bend the rules to protect the people that they're sworn to protect. Where they walk that line of breaking the law themselves, but they're trying to do the right things, or at least what they think is the right thing. So I'm a sucker for that. And there's more of that in this one. There's more debate over where is that line, and where is it between I'm breaking the rules to save someone, or am I breaking the law to save someone? Am I responsible for what happened? Should I have followed the rules and let this person potentially die? Or was I right in breaking the rules or breaking the law to save this person? So there's that internal struggle there too. And I thought the characters struggle with this thing, with that decision. And I thought that was really well done. They struggle with not only morality, was it morally right or wrong, but also how did it affect me long term? How did it affect my career? Do people not trust me anymore? There's a lot packed into this issue with that, and I thought it was done very, very well. And add some horror in that mix, and it's a well-oiled machine. It is a well-oiled machine at this point. The Ribbon Queen, very well done, excellent, and I can't wait to see where it goes next. There's some genuinely creepy sections in this book that goes from being this very dramatic, thought-provoking story to being horrifying, and it does it seamlessly. So very well done. It is my pick of the week. And so overall, a pretty good week. I didn't find a whole lot. I find myself, as I'm going through my selection every week, I find myself finding less books to pick up because I've been pickier, because I've been burned a couple of times. So I'm being more selective in what I'm reading, what I'm trying, because I know what I like. And while I'm not a huge fan of superhero stories, I can do them once in a while, but overall, none of them have been grabbing me lately. And the times I've said, okay, let me give this a try. I'm going to see what the fuss is about. Let me try and get into it. Let me try and find out what's going on. I just don't get into it. I just don't care. So there has been a couple. There have been a couple, but majority of the time, I'm left feeling disappointed. So I'm trying to be more selective with my picks every week, because I don't want to talk to all of you about books I don't enjoy. I want to talk about books I really enjoy. So I want to bring good news every week, and I want to be a bummer. So yeah, so that's those are my picks for this week. There are a couple of series that I might try to catch up with, just to add to my pulls every week. So I'm going to try to catch up on another series or two that I've been keeping my eye on, just so I can catch up to add them to my weekly picks. But we'll see how that goes. It's been a very busy couple of weeks for me personally, so just haven't had as much time as I would like to read. But yeah, overall, not a bad week, and I hope you're all having a great week. I really enjoy the feedback, and looks like we're going to be reading some books here soon. So looking forward to that. Always enjoy the interaction. If you'd like to get in touch with me, the best place is on our forums at pagechewing.com. Come by and join our little community. Great little group of people, and really tightly knit, just pleasant people to be around. And yeah, I really enjoy that space a lot. Come on by and join. I do have to approve all the new members. So if you do register, give me a day or so, but I will get to you after I see that you've registered, to keep the bots out. And not the Musk keep the bots out. I mean, I'm really trying to keep the bots out. So anyway, so Thank you for listening. Hope you're all doing great, and I hope to chat with you all very soon. As always, I'm open to suggestions and to feedback. Hope you're all doing great, and we will talk very soon.